There's a specific moment when you stop wanting the thing. Not because you're resisting it, not because you can't afford it, but because you genuinely look at it and think, why would I buy that? I was at Target 3 months ago, standing in the home decor aisle with a $47 throw pillow in my hands, and I had this weird out-of-body experience where I just put it back. No internal debate, no guilt, I just didn't want it anymore. And that's when I realized something had fundamentally changed in my brain. Here's what actually happens when you stop wasting money on things you don't need. It's not about willpower. It's not about budgeting apps or cash envelopes or any of that tactical stuff. It's about becoming a completely different person. And I'm going to show you exactly how that transformation works. Because once you understand it, you can't unsee it. I'm an accountant who spent way too much time analyzing spending patterns, both my own and my clients'. Here I share financial tips that anyone can implement today. And if you've ever bought something, brought it home and thought, why did I just spend money on this? And you want to actually break that cycle instead of just feeling guilty about it, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button if this helps you out. Now, before we get into the 5 specific things I did, let me show you what we're actually fighting against here, because your brain is working exactly as designed. It's just designed for a world that doesn't exist anymore. Picture your average Tuesday evening. You've had a rough day at work. Your boss was passive-aggressive in the team meeting. You skipped lunch because you were too busy. You're driving home and you pass that Home Goods. You've driven past it 1,000 times, but today something pulls you in. You're just going to look, you tell yourself. 20 minutes later, you're at the register with $160 worth of stuff you didn't know existed 30 minutes ago. A new set of dish towels because yours are looking worn. A scented candle that smells like Moroccan fig or whatever. A decorative tray for your bathroom counter. Things that are technically useful, technically nice, but that you absolutely do not need. You get home and there's this weird emotional arc that happens. First, a tiny hit of excitement as you unpack everything. Then, nothing. Just nothing. The stuff goes wherever it goes, and your life is exactly the same as it was before, except you're $160 poorer. According to a study from the Journal of Consumer Research, the average American makes 3.2 unplanned purchases per week. That's not random. That's your brain doing exactly what evolution trained it to do. You're stressed, your cortisol is elevated, and your brain is searching for a quick dopamine hit to regulate your mood. A new purchase gives you that hit. The problem is, just like any other dopamine source, you build tolerance. You need bigger purchases more often to feel the same relief. And here's the really wild part. Researchers found that the happiness peak happens during purchase anticipation, not after you own the thing. Your brain gets the reward from clicking buy, not from actually using the product. That's why so many people have closets full of stuff with the tags still on. But here's where it gets interesting. I'm about to tell you about a specific psychological threshold that changes everything, and it's not what you think. So the first thing I did was completely ruthless, and it felt insane at the time. I started forcing myself to say out loud in the store why I was buying each thing. Not in my head, out loud. I'd pick up something and literally whisper to myself, I'm buying this because I'm stressed and it's pretty. Or, I'm buying this because I saw someone on Instagram with one and I think it'll make my kitchen look like theirs. The first time I did this, I was at Trader Joe's reaching for this unnecessary kitchen gadget, and I said out loud, I'm buying this garlic peeler because I feel poor, and buying small things makes me feel like I have money to waste. I put it back so fast. It was like breaking a spell. Here's what's happening neurologically. When you verbalize your motivation, you activate your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making. You're basically forcing your logical brain to confront what your emotional brain is doing. And most of the time, when you say the real reason out loud, it sounds ridiculous. Because it is ridiculous. You're not buying the scented candle because you need it. You're buying it because you're trying to feel something, and once you name that out loud, the purchase loses its power. The second thing I did was I stopped going to stores for entertainment. This one sounds obvious, but I had to be really honest with myself about how often I was just browsing. Target runs, scrolling through Amazon when I'm bored, walking through HomeGoods to see what's new. I treated shopping like it was a free hobby, but here's the thing. It's not free. Every time you expose yourself to new products, you're essentially volunteering for psychological warfare. Stores spend millions of dollars on layout design, scent marketing, strategic product placement, all designed to bypass your rational brain and trigger purchasing impulses. When you just browse, you're walking into a casino and expecting not to gamble. So I replaced the behavior. When I wanted to zone out, I'd go for a walk instead. When I wanted novelty, I'd rearrange furniture I already owned. When I wanted that treasure hunt feeling, I'd organize my closet and rediscover things I forgot I had. And this is where something remarkable happened. Within about 3 weeks, I stopped getting the urge to browse at all. My brain literally stopped associating shopping with entertainment. The dopamine pathway weakened because I wasn't reinforcing it anymore. It's the same principle as any addiction recovery. You have to break the habit loop by changing the routine that follows the cue. But here's what most people completely miss, and this is critical. The first 2 weeks of this were genuinely uncomfortable. I felt bored. I felt like I was missing out. I'd see a targeted Instagram ad for some aesthetic home product and feel this weird sense of loss, like I was depriving myself of something important. That feeling is withdrawal. Your brain is literally going through dopamine withdrawal the same way it would if you quit sugar or caffeine. Most people interpret that discomfort as a sign they're doing something wrong, so they give up. But that discomfort is actually proof it's working. You're rewiring neural pathways, and that process is supposed to feel weird. The third thing I did, and this one changed everything, was I started calculating purchases in hours of my life. I make about $32 an hour after taxes, so when I looked at a $96 shelf I didn't need, I'd think, is this worth 3 hours of my life? Not 3 hours of my money, 3 hours of sitting at my desk, answering emails, being in meetings, 3 hours of my actual existence on this planet, converted into a piece of furniture that I'll probably get tired of in 6 months. When you frame it that way, the math changes completely. I started seeing everything through this lens. That $45 shirt, an hour and a half of my life. That $180 kitchen appliance I'd use twice, almost 6 hours. A $600 weekend getaway I couldn't afford, 19 hours of work. And suddenly, I became vicious about evaluating whether something was worth my literal time on Earth. Most things aren't. Most things aren't even close. That realization hit me like a truck. I'd spent years trading hours of my life for objects that gave me 30 seconds of happiness. Here's the kicker. Once you internalize this, you start making completely different decisions about your career too. When you realize that a higher salary literally buys you more freedom to say no to unnecessary purchases, you start negotiating harder. You start looking for better opportunities. The identity shift doesn't just change your spending, it changes your earning. The fourth thing I did was I implemented what I call the screenshot test. Every time I wanted to buy something online, I'd screenshot it and save it to a folder on my phone labeled "Wait." That's it. I didn't buy it. I just saved the screenshot. Then, 7 days later, I'd go through the folder. And this is where it gets wild. About 80% of the things I screenshotted, I'd look at a week later and think, why did I want this? The desire had completely evaporated. It wasn't real desire. It was manufactured urgency, FOMO, algorithm-induced craving. The purchase impulse has a half-life. If you just wait, it decays on its own. The 20% of items I still wanted after 7 days, Those got moved to a second folder labeled Maybe. 30 days later, I'd review those, and the vast majority would get deleted. The things that survived both folders, the 30-day test, those were real wants. And even then, I'd often realize I didn't actually need them, but at least I'd broken the impulse cycle. I'd removed the emotional urgency that makes you click buy now before your rational brain can catch up. And here's something that'll probably surprise you. This practice didn't make me feel deprived. It made me feel powerful. Every time I deleted a screenshot, I felt like I'd dodged a bullet. I'd saved future me from having to deal with another object cluttering up my space, another charge on my credit card, another thing to maintain or store or eventually throw away. I started to feel like I was winning a game instead of missing out. The fifth thing I did was the most uncomfortable, but it's probably the most important. I unfollowed everyone on social media whose lifestyle I was trying to buy. Influencers with those perfectly styled homes, friends who constantly posted their new purchases, brands that showed up in my feed. I was ruthless, because here's what I realized. I wasn't buying things because I needed them. I was buying things because I was trying to construct a version of myself that looked like someone else's carefully curated highlight reel. Every time I bought something to make my apartment look like an influencer's apartment or to achieve some aesthetic I saw online, I was essentially buying someone else's identity, and it never worked because the product was never the point. The point was the feeling of being that person, living that life. But you can't buy your way into someone else's life. You just end up with a bunch of stuff that doesn't fit who you actually are. So I curated my feed to only show me things that inspired me to create, not consume. Artists making things, people sharing ideas, content that made me want to do something, not buy something. And this shift was massive. Within a month, my baseline desire to purchase random stuff dropped by probably 70%. I wasn't being constantly bombarded with images of things I needed to buy to be happy, successful, or aesthetically pleasing. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what about the things I actually do need? And that's a fair question. Here's the thing. When you stop buying things you don't need, you suddenly have money for the things you do need. And more importantly, you develop the judgment to tell the difference. You become the kind of person who knows the difference between I need new running shoes because mine have holes in them, and I need new running shoes because I saw someone on Instagram with a cool pair. The identity shift I mentioned at the beginning, this is it. You stop being someone who wants to stop wasting money and start being someone who genuinely doesn't want the unnecessary stuff. You're not resisting temptation anymore because there's no temptation. You look at the thing and you just don't want it. Your brain has been rewired. The neural pathways that connected stressed to buy something have weakened. The dopamine hit you used to get from purchasing has been replaced by the dopamine hit you get from not purchasing, from watching your savings account grow, from feeling in control of your own life. But here's where most people mess this up, and I see it constantly. They do everything right for a few months. They save money, they feel great, and then they reward themselves by blowing a huge chunk of it on something big, a vacation they can't afford, a car upgrade they don't need. They treat the saved money like found money, like it's not real. And they're right back where they started, except now they've proven to themselves that they can't maintain the change, so they give up entirely. The trap is thinking of saved money as money you're not spending. That's scarcity thinking. Instead, you have to think of it as money you're investing in your future self. Every dollar you don't spend on unnecessary stuff is a dollar that's working for you, compounding, building the foundation for actual freedom, not the fake freedom of buying whatever you want. The real freedom of not needing to buy anything to feel okay about your life. I'm not gonna lie to you and say this is easy. For the first month, it sucked. I felt like I was missing out on everything. I'd see people posting their hauls and feel this weird jealousy, like they were having fun and I was being a boring finance person who couldn't enjoy anything. But that feeling passed, and what replaced it was something I didn't expect. I started feeling genuinely sorry for people who were still trapped in the cycle. I'd see someone posting about their massive Target haul and just think, you have no idea how much of your life you're trading for that temporary feeling. The shift from, I want that, to, I'm glad I don't need that, is the entire game. Once you cross that threshold, you're free. Not because you have a lot of money saved, although that's part of it, but because you've broken the connection between your emotional state and your spending behavior. You've stopped trying to buy your way out of feelings, and that changes everything. Your future self is watching you right now. They're either going to thank you for the decision you're about to make, or they're going to resent you for wasting another year buying things that didn't matter. Start building that new identity today. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more motivated, right now. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. The person you become when you stop wasting money isn't just financially better off. They're calmer, more confident, less anxious, more present. You stop treating every store like it holds the missing piece to your happiness, because you realize the missing piece was never in a store to begin with. You don't need more stuff. You need to become the person who doesn't need more stuff. And that transformation starts the second you decide it does.